Okay, and this is the second part of the oil barrel tutorial in Substance. So, as I said in the last tutorial, what we're going to do is we're going to add some kind of dirt and grime onto the top of this surface. So what we can do is we can do this using mask generators. Now in something like Substance Painter and in the Quixel suite, you have these kind of created automatically. Via things like the normal maps, the ambient occlusion, the curvatures, and we can do exactly the same kind of thing in Substance Designer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into my user packages. It's going to I'm going to go to the top of this, my all barrel tut.sbs, and right click, and I'm going to do new and create a new graph. So this one I'm going to call oil barrel dirty tut, for want of a better name. Again, have this physically based metallic roughness, and that's OK. So I'm going to start off, rather than creating all of this within one graph, I've got my oil barrel in one graph and my oil barrel with dirt on there in another graph. And what we can do is we can use an instance of our oil barrel. So I'm just going to drag this in, make our reference of this. Okay. If we want to see the outputs for this, we can just press 2, and this is going to show them. If I press 3, kind of goes between these two things. Okay, so it's showing our outputs and just showing a simplified version. One thing you may not have on as well is the information, this display connector name. If you don't have that clicked on, then it's not going to show you what these connections are. So that's quite useful to be able to go over here and see what these things are. So we have our material, we have our ambient occlusion outputs there. Okay. So what we're going to use is we're going to go over into our library, and I'm going to look in the mask generators. And we can just use any one of these actually, but I'm going to go in, I'm going to use the dirt. So I'm just going to drag this in. So again, this is showing our simplified version of this. If we just press 2, we're actually showing the inputs of this. So on here you can see we have a curvature input, we have an ambient occlusion, world space normal, position, and an optional mask as well. So we baked all of these maps earlier within Substance Designer. Obviously you can bake those out in a different package as well, but it did quite a decent job of it. So let's bring those in. So over here I have my resources and my different textures. Let's drag those in. So I have my, let's see, got my curvature map here. I have an occlusion. It's my world space normal. And that's my position map. So let's drag these, let's connect these in. Curvature. Ambient occlusion. World space normal. And my position. If I double click on this, see we now get all of those maps ready to go to be used as a noise generator, or a mask generator, sorry. Okay, let's bring this up here. So what we want to do is be able to blend this material and another material and use these as the mask generator to create that kind of dirt and noise on there. So if I go to my material filters, we have a couple of different ways of doing this. If we actually had a different Substance Designer material, we could use this material blend. So what that allows us to do, I just put these into our simple mode again. We've got material 2, material 1, and we have a grayscale mask. So pretty much like the blend node. So if we had a rust material or something like that, we could use that. What I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to use a material color. So this will allow us to do this without having another material. Excuse me. And we can generate our dirt from this instead. If I just double click on this, just to open this up, and the first thing I'm going to do is go down and just switch off. If I go into this and press 2, we have all these channels, but we're not working with all of them. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to switch off the ones I don't want. So I'm not using diffuse, I'm using base color normal, I'm not using specular or emissive, not using glossiness, I am using roughness and metallic, I'm not using height, but I am using ambient occlusion, and I'm not using opacity. So that just simplifies that a little bit for us. Okay. So, in fact, let me just press 2 again. So what we can do, I'm going to try this way first of all. So from our material, we've got 2 inputs on this. We've got our material and our grayscale mask. So this is going to act as our grayscale mask. This is our material. So if I drag from here over, so what we're not getting on there is the ambient occlusion. So I am going to drag out from this ambient occlusion into here as well. Okay. And then we can drag out, let's bring this up, from our mask into here. Just noticing I think I've still got opacity switched on. Let's just switch that off. Okay. So now what we have is this. To be able to see this on our model, I'm just going to drag this out, and what this is going to do is actually connect up to all our outputs. Again, we don't have our ambient occlusion on this, but I'll leave that for now actually. No, I may actually do that and put an ambient occlusion on. So it's going to create another out channel, as we did before. Add an item, ambient occlusion. Again, let's just give this a name. And a label. And that can come from our ambient occlusion output. Just let me plug that one in there. Yep, there we go. So I'm going to go back to this material color blend. If we just go down, let's just minimize this actually. So we have a couple of different things, a couple of different options in here. So first of all, for the base color, right now this is just showing white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change this to kind of a dark brown color. Okay, so you can see straight away we're getting a much better result there. I'm going to add this as a multiply, so I get a bit of the underlying color as well. And we could, if we wanted to, make this a bit more subtle, could change the opacity on there. Just blend it out a little bit. Okay. We have our normal information. So what this is looking at the minute is source as a height map. Now we don't have a height map, so what I'll do is I'll take this from our mask. You can see it's quite rough on there, taking it from this. So what I'll definitely do on that is bring down the height intensity. Okay. could also just kind of balance it out a little bit. Just pressing shift here to bring the light round of this side. And what I might do is create another background for this. So I'm just going to go down to my environment maps. And let's choose something like this. Okay, so that now our map's still a bit strong, so let's just go in. Okay, maybe about that. We have the roughness. I'm going to kind of leave that as it is. So look. I may add that as a multiplier as well. Oh, too much. Let's bring that out a little bit. Okay. And we have our metallic as well. If I remember black is completely metallic. I'm just going to take a little bit of this off, as if some of the dirt and grime is getting rid. If it was dirt and grime over the top, it wouldn't be metal. So I'm just going to bring that down a little bit. Not too much. Okay. So we get something like that. Now what I can do is actually go in. Let's just have a look at the ambient occlusion for a second actually. I don't think the ambient occlusion is doing too much, to be honest. But let's go into the mask generator. So if I just double click on this, again we have a lot of options in here now. So under here we have our dirt level, dirt contrast, we have our grunge amount, we have masking, we have our grunge scale as well. Use a triplanar effect, so it's not using the UVs to place this on. You can see the difference in results. Actually, I think I'll stick with the UVs. So I'm going to take the grunge scale down a little bit. Okay. We could take the dirt level up or down, depending on what you want. Again, it's just playing around with these values now. Okay, let's add some of the grunge amount. Again, we can take this completely ridiculous. Okay, maybe something like that. Our edge masking is just going to extend our edges out or tighten them up. So actually, I didn't mind where that was. Okay. So I think I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. But that's the beauty of using this, that it's all procedural. We can change it at any point. So that was using the mask generator. Okay, and as I say, we have lots of different ones to choose from. and just in this instance using a blend color, but we could use a blend material if we had two different substances. So we could merge those two together using this blend node, this blend material node, if you wanted to do that rather than the blend color. The outputs are the baked masks were all done within Substance Designer, so we can do that within the bake. And then if we wanted, we could just output these. So if I just go up to this little kind of cog, we could click on export outputs, export outputs rather, not outputs. Here we have our base color, normal, roughness, metallic, ambient, occlusion. So could go in here. Let's say choose a toggle. Let's choose a location. So I'm just going to do this in Substance. Call this barrel mat. Or rather, I will do it here. So this is actually using the graph, so it's going to use this name, oil barrel, which I spelled wrong, by the way, dirty tut. Okay, all of these in there, and then all we would need to do is just okay that. Okay, so we could do a save all. It's going to just cancel that for a second. I'm just going to actually rename this. And now let's do that. So export outputs. Let's do this into the Substance. Under the graph, let's save all. And that should have done it. So just to show you, we have all those saved out. And just in Photoshop, we do have an ambient occlusion on there. We have our base color, we have our metallic, we have our normal map, and we have our roughness on there as well. Okay. So there we go. Just save all. So that is just creating, adding noise, grime to an object, just all within Substance Designer. And that's the end of this tutorial.